Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so today we're diving into something absolutely fascinating. We're exploring the very real possibility that the ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata, isn't just a collection of mythological stories, but is actually an encrypted science document. What if, hidden right there within its verses, lies the actual blueprint of a highly advanced civilization? Today, we're going to look at these ancient texts through the lens of modern science and ask ourselves, is it possible that what was recorded thousands of years ago was actually a glimpse into a technologically supreme past?
Just picture this for a second. An explosive, mid-air battle between the legendary warriors Karna and Arjuna. The texts literally describe their chariots lifting 100 feet into the air, floating and darting around as if they're being pulled by some kind of anti-gravity system. They're launching these heat-seeking, energy-filled weapons that track targets in real time. And when these weapons collide, they don't just break, they create massive sonic booms and blinding explosions that light up the entire sky.
Now, hearing that, you'd probably think, okay, what sci-fi movie is this from? Is this an alien invasion, right? But what if this wasn't magic and it wasn't a myth? What if this was actual, documented technological warfare? The specific details recorded here, things like dynamic navigation, guided energy missiles, autonomous tracking, they sound shockingly familiar to the absolute bleeding-edge technology of our modern military. So here's how we're going to break this down today. We'll look at the overarching technological perspective, check out the advanced weapons and defense systems, dive into ancient genetics and cloning, explore mind tech and virtual reality, and wrap it all up with the great filter theory. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Section 1, the Mahabharata from a technological perspective.
You see, when you actually strip away all that mystical terminology, a really crazy scientific framework starts to emerge. Rather than divine miracles, the text is describing a world running on highly sophisticated, conscious technology. We're talking about voice-controlled defense systems, where ancient mantras basically act as neurolinguistic passwords. We see machines operated directly by human brainwaves, and environments entirely manipulated by programmable optical illusions. This wasn't some primitive society. This was a civilization operating on bioresonance and neural integration.
Moving right along to Section 2, Advanced Weapons and Defense Systems. Let's take a look at the actual arsenal these warriors were using. These weapons, known as astras, were way beyond simple swords and arrows. Notice how perfectly these ancient astras map to our modern military ambitions. Take the Varanastra, for example. It was triggered by a mantra and mental resolve, and it instantly summoned torrential rain. It acted exactly like a localized weather manipulation system. Then you have the terrifying Brahmastra. When deployed, it created blinding light, intense heat, and left the land completely barren for decades. And get this, scientists have actually found regions in modern-day Rajasthan with unexplained radiation and vitrified soil, where sand literally melted into glass from extreme heat, exactly like a nuclear ground zero, even though no modern atomic tests ever happened there. Wild, right?
Now, check out this comparison between ancient artifacts and modern aviation. Lord Krishna's famous weapon, the Sudarshan Chakra, is described as a spinning disc that tracks enemies, alters its path mid-air to avoid obstacles, and then returns directly to its user. Guys, it behaves exactly like a modern autonomous drone equipped with dynamic navigation. Even more incredible, it responded solely to Krishna's command, which strongly implies a personalized biometric or DNA link that synced the weapon exclusively to its master's brainwaves.
And you know, advanced weaponry requires advanced security protocols. There's this wild moment right after the Great War. Krishna tells Arjuna to step off his chariot. The very second they both exit, the entire chariot spontaneously bursts into flames and turns to ash. Arjuna's chariot wasn't just running on magic, it had a built-in self-destruct mechanism. Just like today's advanced fighter jets or stealth drones, this was specifically designed to prevent cutting-edge technology from falling into enemy hands after the mission was complete.
So the big takeaway here is that these weapons were locked down tight behind a complex neurobiometric code. You couldn't just pick up an enemy's weapon and fire it. The system required a perfect match of thought purity, precise voice frequency, and biological DNA. If the user's emotions were corrupt or their intentions wavered even a little bit, the weapon would instantly deactivate. They were high-level users of a conscious technology that literally merged the human mind with the machine.
All right, shifting gears a bit. Section 3, Ancient Genetics and Cloning. So, looking at the biology in these texts, it is staggering. Take the story of the 100 Kauravas born from a single mass of flesh. The mass was systematically divided into 100 parts, placed in specialized jars filled with specific chemical preservatives, and incubated in a controlled underground environment for 9 months. I mean, this reads exactly, and I mean exactly, like a highly advanced lab-based cloning process utilizing embryonic cell splitting and womb-free external incubation, a feat our modern medical science is only just beginning to theorize.
We also see what modern science considers the absolute highest theoretical level of in vitro fertilization. The text describes the embryo of Balarama being flawlessly transferred from one mother's womb to another's. There were no surgical tables here, no modern scalpels, no anesthesia. It was executed using precise biological timing and biofrequencies, resulting in a perfect, complication-free transfer.
Next up, Section 4, Mind Tech and Virtual Reality.
These marvels go way past biology and straight into neuroscience. Take the character Sanjay, who possessed Divya Drishti, or divine vision. He sat in a palace and narrated the live battle of Kurukshetra happening hundreds of kilometers away. But here's the kicker. He didn't just see the visuals. He could feel the inner intentions, the emotions, and the thoughts of the soldiers. This perfectly describes a real-time brain-to-brain interface, or EEG cognitive telemetry. His brain was basically acting as a high-frequency neural uplink, decoding the entire mental energy field of the battlefield.
And then you have the Maya Sabha. Think of it as the ultimate smart building. Visitors would walk into it look like an empty doorway and just hit an invisible wall. Or they'd step onto it look like solid marble and fall straight into a pool of water. It wasn't just a confusing palace. It was an adaptive, smart material system. It was a multi-layered holographic environment, honestly far beyond our current VR capabilities, manipulating reality in real time based purely on the visitor's physical presence and their perception.
Even life and death were manipulated through this tech. The Amrit Sanjivani technique for reviving the dead? Well, this wasn't just ancient CPR. According to the texts, it brought back the physical body, but crucially, it completely restored the person's memory, their identity, and their consciousness. It's literally a consciousness backup protocol, syncing biological coding with vibrational frequencies to perform a full mind-body reboot.
Of course, we absolutely have to mention the pushback Vimana. This wasn't some clunky mechanical flying machine. It required no fuel and no mechanical levers. It operated entirely on the pilot's consciousness and bioresonance. It was capable of instant vertical lift, hovering, and multidirectional movement through gravitational manipulation. Some texts even suggest these crafts could fold space and time, engaging in interdimensional travel. Just unbelievable stuff.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, the Great Filter Theory.
Okay, so if this ancient civilization had bio-integrated armor, cloning labs, and time-traveling spacecraft, where on Earth did they go? Why did it all just disappear? To understand that, we have to look at a concept called the Great Filter. It's this theoretical boundary suggesting that as a civilization's technology grows exponentially, it eventually becomes just too powerful to control, and inevitably, that civilization destroys itself.
Applying that to this explainer, what if the catastrophic Kurukshetra war wasn't just a fight over a kingdom? What if it was a great filter event? The devastating nuclear-level fallout, the millions dead, the deliberate destruction of advanced tech by figures like Krishna, it all strongly suggests that this ancient society realized their conscious technology had become too destructive. They hit the great filter, and tragically, they wiped out their own hyper-advanced civilization, leaving behind only these encrypted stories.
And that leaves us with a really profound question to think about. Today, we are racing, literally sprinting, to develop autonomous AI drones, Neuralink brain interfaces, genetic engineering, and directed energy weapons. As we start unlocking the exact same technologies described in the Mahabharata, we have to ask ourselves, are we simply walking down the exact same path toward destruction? Has we learned enough to survive our own technology, or is the great filter waiting for us just over the horizon?